Talk Wrestling, you're listening to Talk Sport 2 with you for the next couple of hours ahead of UFC 251. Its debut here on Talk Sport 2 for you from 1 a.m. this morning. Cannot wait for that. There'll be championships decided. But, well, we promised you champions on this show. And one of the very biggest in wrestling right now joins us. Al, Drew McIntyre's on the show. Before I get to Drew, Al, I'm going to ask you how excited you are.
You can see it on my face, and no one on the radio can, but I am that excited. The champ has finally joined the show. After we had that whole tribute for him at WrestleMania, that whole special hour, and finally, we've actually got the man.
Drew McIntyre, how are you, sir?
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for having me, lads, and I appreciate the tribute. I'm a regular listener.
We need that recorded and repeated at all opportunities, please. Every time Drew's name is mentioned, forever and eternity. Starting off there, we mentioned we did the tribute to, and we heard from so many of the great names you came up with in Scottish and British wrestling. But what was that reaction like when you claimed the title at WrestleMania, and how much did you hear from the people back home?
Yeah, I heard from everybody. It was absolutely wild seeing the reaction, in America, with family and friends all across the world, but especially back home in the UK. I just couldn't believe the response in the UK. The next day, I remember checking the BBC website. I spoke to a couple of lads over there, and I guess the two biggest headlines of the day were the Queen's giving a speech, and Drew McIntyre becomes the first ever British champ. I actually heard a clip. It sounded exactly like, today on BBC, the Queen will be giving her speech, and WB superstar Drew McIntyre becomes the first ever British champion.
In the same breath.
It's pretty surreal to hear that.
That's the level you're at now, surreal. Drew.
I think I was ahead of her for part of the day. But it's just absolutely mental to me.
Mate, to be fair, like I said, the reaction to you being champion as well since then has been great. People love the banger that you had with Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley as well. You've basically set a benchmark now as this kind of champion who's going to deliver on pay-per-view. So you must be excited that you've got Dolph Ziggler coming up at Extreme Rules, a guy you know very well, friend and foe. You must be excited for the magic that you guys can make together.
Yeah, I know the match is a given. Dolph is so good. I know the match is going to be phenomenal. The thing that I'm most excited about is creating, a compelling story out of the situation. Obviously, Dolph hasn't exactly been on the most successful of runs as of late, which we've brought into the story. So I've found it pretty exciting over the past few weeks, where my characters felt like, Dolph, he did bring me into WWE. I know he doesn't have much of a chance. I'm a very confident champion, so I thought I'd allow him to pick the stipulation, but then Dolph had to get dirty. He dug into my closet, he brought out Heath and that TV, tried to embarrass me. That's what Dolph's great at. Aside being very good in the ring, he's a master of the mind games. He's trying to get me on that psychopath track so that he can win in those mind games. And that's the fun thing about the whole situation, is trying to tell that story leading up to the match, so people are genuinely invested in it, in the match itself. It's going to be fun because I know Dolph is going to pick a stipulation that has probably never been done before. But why would he pick a weapons match? I am a weapon, so it could get pretty interesting.
Well, we've already got people extracting eyes and stuff, so who knows what he's got in store for you.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to watch that myself. The eye for an eye match where the loser has to get his eye removed from his skull.
How are they even going to do that?
That's not enough. I don't know, but if that's not enough to sell a pay-per-view, I don't know what it is. Hey, come watch me and Dolph have a sweet match and a stipulation that's never happened before. That's cool. See Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman and a cinematic swamp match. They've got such history together. They're both monsters. That's pretty cool too. But there's literally going to have someone get their eye ripped out their head. What else can I say? Check out the horror show at Extreme Rules, because a man's going to lose an eye.
We were wondering how WWE were going to adjust to the behind closed doors natures and how they were going to figure it out. Feels like they've got creative. That's fair to say. How have you found it?
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Me myself, I'm all about innovating and adapting, wherever the situation presents itself. Never expected this situation, but I've been rolling with the punches, found ways to connect with the audience, always looking down the lens a little more and try to connect directly with them, and being a little more verbal during matches because you can actually hear me. I'm trying to build that character, but as much as I try to innovate and adapt, WWE is the master of it. So that started with the cinematic matches and really captivating people's attention and imagination with the Firefly Funhouse in the Boneyard match, and here we are, taking it to the nenext level. A man's going to lose an eye, slowly extracted from his head on the WWE Network. $9.99. Check it
out. I mean, we talk about all of that though, and you, like you said, the story. I mean, first of all, my first question on Raw and the creative, I guess. I know you must have thought that was really cool having Heath been involved in your story. I know you're close in real life. Was it your idea, or were you? I know you was all for it, but just tell me how it all came about, man. Because I thought, A, Heath nailed his promo. Me and Will have already said that on the show this week. And B, it was just really cool the moment you two had at the end.
Yeah, the moment at the end was very special, and yeah, I was very much pushing that idea to happen. Don't know, the internet gets all this information. I read it out there, but yeah, I mean, I played a big part in making it happen. And to be honest, Heath was a little bit against it, and I spoke to my wife right before the phone call. I made the Heath to try and convince him to come on to the show to do the segment. And she reminded me how I felt at the time when I was released. And sure enough, he felt the same. You know, he'd appreciated the opportunity with WWE. It's where he made his name, but mentally he's moved on. He's ready for the next stage. He's not sure about going backwards. And I made it clear to him, like, trust me, this is not going to be like anything you've done. The first thing I did outside of WWE was ICW. And I showed my real personality. It really caused a buzz on the underground, went viral on the underground. But if you get the chance to show your real personality on Raw, that's going to, you know, set you on the right course. I know you've been training hard, get to see what he looks like now. And also it's going to help advance our story. So everybody wins. So we finally got him on board. Got him on the show. He absolutely killed it, like I knew he would, and really helped myself and Dolph's storyline. Like, I know obviously, like, you're supposed to be the top good guy. It's not ideal in a lot of people's eyes that he pointed out that I've been a bad friend. But the way I see, you know, my character, especially the environment we're in, we can tell more complex stories. In an arena, I'd have been booed to pieces for being such a terrible friend. But in this environment, I think it's important to show my character's flawed. Like, I am human. We've got Cena, who's Superman, and, you know, Roman can be all bulletproof a lot of the time. I think for McIntyre, Drew Galloway, I am a flawed person, and Dolph tried to put a difficult situation. Maybe I hadn't been as attentive to my friend as I should have been in front of the world, which showed that I am a human being. You saw it in my face. You saw Drew Galloway, like, my goodness, I feel really bad, Heath. I'll give you what you want. And then at the end, we reunited. We overcame Dolph, and I think it's important for my character to show those flaws, and it allows us to be different. And like I say, tell stories with more layers and more depth in this environment. And that's, again, embracing the environment we're in right now. He killed it, more importantly.
Yeah, he did. He really did. And I think it adds to that kind of uniqueness of your situation that you mentioned it, the leaving, the returning, and how that shaped where you are now, because there are lots of stories you can draw on there and lots of characters and individuals you worked with then, like, you know, that there's so much talent beyond the top tier that maybe get those shots and opportunities and what they can do. And yeah, we're already seeing that come to fruition.
One more time, I don't know why you were talking and I couldn't hear a word you were saying. Turn on the volume.
No, I was saying that, you know, from your perspective, for you as someone who, as you said, left, came back, went through those trials, you know how much talent there is deeper on the roster who maybe don't get those opportunities in the main event picture, and actually to be able to use that platform to give them those chances to show what they can do is a really cool extra feature of being the champ.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if it works for the situation. Like Heath, I knew we'd add to the story, and I knew he had that in him, because most importantly, it was real. You know, he's not having to, I don't know, act a part. That came from a very real place. He was talking about his family, he was talking about his daughters. You know, he really isn't with the company anymore. And now that he's got to, I think it's kind of shown to him as well, it proven to him, hey, you've got this in you, buddy, because I'm not sure if he believed it until he did the segment and he saw the response online. And I think it's important for a lot of individuals, you know, who are in his similar situation to Heath right now, is just believe in yourself. Whatever you do, the next step of your career, you know, promo-wise, in-ring-wise, make sure you always come from a place of truth. No matter what I do, no matter what the situation is, even if it isn't remotely real, you got to find something in there that's real. And then the better you get at it, the more you believe it, the more you talk from the heart and wrestle from the heart, you know, things start to work out. So the next stage for Heath's going to be amazing. And for everyone in the company, you know, is waiting for that opportunity. Just be ready, because Yeah, it's going to come. Like, just don't drive yourself crazy. I know it's easy to do. I did it myself. Don't complain on the internet, because negativity just brings negativity. Just keep working hard in the gym, on your promos. Be ready for any situation, because when that time comes, you got to be ready for it.
You know, on the strength of like what's real and what works, I think there was a lot of speculation out there that Jinder and yourself might be working in the near future, and that story seems so perfect in so many ways because of 3MB, both of you coming back and winning the title. And it's such a shame that he got injured, and he kind of, you know, he's had a big setback when he seemed like he was primed to return. Is that a story that you had wanted to explore? I can imagine for you two that'd be a bit of a thrill.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, like, for me, it's important that everything comes from a place of truth, and the more real, the better. And my relationship with Heath, as we saw in this segment, especially the closing moments, is very, very real. You know, that we knew that was our last moment. The only thing that was missing was Jinder. It would have been perfect closure for 3MB until Heath returns to try and fulfill the 3MB prophecy. But with Jinder and I, you know, it's the same deal. He's a very, very close friend, one of my best friends in the world, and he's been through those rough times with me. And I'm very much an open book. I've grew up in front of the camera. I've grew up in wrestling. Basically, everybody's seen my entire life or heard about it. Half of it's not true, but a lot of it is. And he was there during those really difficult times. He was there in those hotel rooms when I was really struggling. When a lot of personal things were going on, when mum was sick and she passed, etc., making sure I was okay. And I think bringing that kind of stuff to television, I'm not afraid to talk about it. And I think it'd make for very compelling viewing, while also at the same time creating, you know, a really interesting character and taking Jinder to that next level, because we need to build stars right now. And I think a situation like that would really help both of us and entertaining for the audience.
One guy you mentioned about adapting to and speaking down the camera and working slightly differently in this environment. I think one guy who's really stepped up to the plate and I think is doing his best work for some time is Randy Orton. Another one the internet seems to have got information about is the idea that you guys might be working together in the not too distant future. Is that a matchup and a rivalry you'd embrace?
Oh, that's exciting to me, by the way, man.
Yeah, it's exciting to me too. Yeah, I mean, Randy Orton is on fire right now. Like, even when he's not trying, he's admitted himself. Like, sometimes he's not always putting in 100%, but he's still better than 90% of everybody in the world when he's barely trying. But when he's on, there's nobody that can touch Randy Orton. And I think for me, you know, I need somebody who's going to make me really work up to their level. You know, I'm in a place where I'm building as a new champion. We don't have an audience to kind of show the new fans, like, you should be reacting a certain way to me right now. It is very much every week I'm kind of starting from square one in my mind. I was okay, I need to go over every single week, because there might be a new viewer watching, so I'm square one every single week. I got to tell them who I am. I got to explain Drew McIntyre and why they should be behind me. And I think with a Randy Orton, he's so established, he's instantly recognizable. He's so good at his role. That is going to make me like have to work up to his level, or I'm going to drown. And I'm excited about the prospect of Randy and I coming together. I mean, if it happens, I hope I believe the internet. The internet seems to know before I do have. But like where he's working at right now, and you know, that's a very exciting prospect for me. And the story writes itself. Like, when we were kids, you know, we were given such huge opportunities. Randy, aside having all the natural talent in the world, was very protected. Every time he messed up, he made sure somebody was cleaning up his mess behind him. Whenever I messed up, it hurt me. And eventually I was out of that position. And again, he was on a different level talent-wise, but he was very much protected until he got to the top. He figured it out, and now he's the man he is today. When Drew McIntyre kind of kicked to the curb, was in 3MB, got fired. And as long as wrestling was constantly trying to hand me everything, you know, I was rejecting it. And it came to the point where wrestling gave up and I was fired, and it was up to me. Did you really want this? And I started working myself instead of wrestling choosing me. You know, I chose wrestling. I worked my arse off and took the long way around to get to the top. So it's very interesting, the story, like Randy and I could tell.
I mean, a big proponent for you in that rise back and has been in your career was Paul Heyman. You must have been sad to see him leave his position on Raw. How you loved working for him, from what I understood.
Yeah, and Paul's great. He always has his finger on the pulse, not just of wrestling, but of current pop culture, etc. And is a way of communicating with the talent, and there's an ability to highlight the positives while hiding the negatives. So yeah, I mean, that's not ideal. It was great having him there, but he's not gone. He's still part of the roster, and I'm sure he's going to show up eventually. And I love the prospect that either he comes back with Brock and I beat Brock in 3 minutes instead of 5 minutes this time, or he gets a new talent and brings them in. And we have an exciting rivalry there because, again, like, I love any situation we're working up. It's cool having these past couple rivalries. You know, Bobby Lashley came out better for working with me, which is cool. Dolph is going to be back at the level, you know, he should be at after this match, and that's cool that I can pull people up. That's my job as the champion, but I always want to be working up. I want to get to that next level. I want to be one of those top tier superstars, especially, you know, as a champion. And the like situation we've got right now is good as well. You know, with Bruce Pritchard in charge, we've got a great relationship. We go way back. You know, he gets Drew McIntyre too, and the creative writing team are fantastic. And I also get a lot of opportunity to be myself right now, and a lot of leeway. So I really appreciate that also.
I think you could argue you pushed Seth Rollins up too, because he's been kind of more maniacal and more dastardly, because your loss maybe pushed him that way. Do you know what I mean? So I think there you go.
It's so awesome. Like, you know, Seth Rollins is, you know, been on top for a very long time, and he's so good in the ring, and that was one of my favorite matches I've had. You know, especially in this era, it's probably my favorite match I've had. And like you say, you know, after that match, it put him in the course he's on right now, which plus like will allow us, was if he keeps building this way, we can come back together, and I think we'll do some cool stuff. He'll be a different level character wise.
I could listen to that fine Scottish drawl for hours, but we do need to take a break. We've got some listener questions coming up for you on Talk Wrestling here on Talk Sport 2. And don't forget, from 1 this morning, UFC 251, UFC making its live debut for you, live and exclusive here on Talk Sport 2. I'll just keep rolling through if that's all right, guys. Don't want to take the mic. Yeah. You are listening to Talk Wrestling. This is Talk Sport 2. Still with us, me, Will Gavin, and Alex McCarthy is the first ever British WWE champion, Drew McIntyre, giving us half an hour of his time.
Really on the radio. Again. I'm holding up the title, but I assume this is audio, so I'm just waving it around for you
just
guys.
For me and Will. Have you had and get excited?
I wish I could reveal something. This situation realistically has affected a lot of plans for everybody on planet Earth. So let's just say, like, things were looking positive, and when we get back rolling again, and things are looking a little bit more normal, I'll be pushing once again, because we're on the right path. And like I said already, it's not a case of if it'll happen, it's when it'll happen. I just want it to happen really, really soon. But again, it's got to roll with the punches right now, and eventually we'll get that UK pay-per-view we deserve.
Is it safe to say there maybe were plans?
I can reveal that. It's to say that people are very positive.
You know, I can't help but pry. You know, I can't help myself, Drew. I'm sorry.
And look, it's fair to say that as much as we'll always ask the Brits about this, whenever we talk to any other talent about it who have come and worked the UK before, everyone is positive about it.
Yeah, the Americans too.
It's not just the Brits who want a British pay-per-view.
No, it's like they know the audience in the UK are just so passionate and rowdy, and like, I mean, I always compare it to the football fans, you know, back home. Like, every time the Americans are coming over, or Canadians, or whoever, they're just like so excited to get in front of the British crowds because they want to hear what chant they've come up with. You know, it makes our night easier, and we work even harder because the adrenaline's so high when the crowd are so invested, and they know they just love the product so much, and that's why everybody in the roster agrees that the UK deserves that big pay-per-view. As I saw on the BBC website yesterday, Drew McIntyre says the WWE Slam is coming to the UK eventually. I just appreciate the fact that it's on there, and I'm talking about pay-per-view. But yeah, eventually I'm going to keep working to educate everybody on the correct way to promote it. The WWE Slam is not coming. UK freaking pay-per-view is coming.
That's our BBC hallmark.
Yeah,
by the way.
Quite. From Francis Reyes on Twitter, at the Francis Reyes. He wants to know, when you won the WWE Championship, what were your first thoughts when you were alone with the title for the first time?
Well, when I won the title, obviously it was pre-taped. So I had my moment after the match with the title. I had my moment down the camera with the fans. I went backstage, spoke to a couple of people, put the title in my bag, drove home, went straight into this room I'm in right now, my office, and then I put it in the closet over there, and it didn't exist anymore, and I wasn't champion anymore. And I convinced myself that I wasn't the champion. So basically, the first time I had it for real, and I believed I was champion, because anything can happen in WWE. Like, other things change all the time. I wouldn't have been surprised. I mean, I would have been, I'm joking here, if I turned on WrestleMania with my wife sitting on the couch, and then I kicked Brock with the last Claymore, and it was 1, 2, and it cuts to a clip of Roman or Seth getting pinned by Brock. 3. So, I'm kidding, but seriously, things change a lot in wrestling. So I didn't officially become champion. I spoke about this yesterday, actually. You know, I posted it on my social media, but big spoiler, we're working on a 24 right now about not just a period of my life, like my entire life right now. And we get into the nitty gritty with it, but they reminded me of a moment because we filmed it. When I won the title on TV, you know, obviously the referee presented me the title on the show we're watching, but my wife pulled it out. My wife presented me the title on the couch, and that was a pretty cool moment back home. So there's a little sneak peek into the 24 we're working on right now.
I bet that's going to be. I mean, knowing the WWE documentaries and stuff they've done at the moment are just phenomenal. So I can only imagine, mate, the stuff we're going to get out of that.
Yeah, and it's like, as I say, I'm an open book about my life and career, and we've never really talked about, I guess, the more difficult times. But I think it's important again. I talk about me, the person and the character, one and the same, being flawed. And it takes me through that journey of, you know, those ups and those downs. And my wife really got into it. I got into it. There's a lot of friends that'll be involved in there. I don't know what most of them are saying, but I made it very clear that I'm not afraid to talk about, you know, the good times and the bad times. And hopefully it can inspire some people out there that, you know, you can overcome anything and achieve your dreams. And you might even be WWE champion. So I said to Dolph last week on Raw when he kept calling me dumb. That wasn't a line in the script. I just got annoyed because he kept saying it over and over. Like, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. So dumb, so dumb, so dumb. Did I mention you got fired? I was like, Dad, like, I'm hiding the fact I got fired. I was like, I'm proud of it. I embrace it. I'm hoping I get messages all the time. People that have been inspired by the story, and I'm so damn proud of that. So yeah, I keep saying it.
Off script, Dolph.
That's good. Like, that's the thing. We've got such a banter with Dolph.
Yeah.
That real relationship. And, you know, I've had it with a couple of people, like, especially like Dolph and Zelina. And, you know, there's a few people when you get out there, they're so good and quick on their feet. I love that. And I know Randy will be the same. When you get into that back and forth in that environment, especially, that's what it's all about. And it feels real to the audience because it is real.
The last question from the fans was at 90s Wrestling Pod, James from the 90s Wrestling Pod. What was your reaction when you found out the British Bulldog was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame? Like, did he mean a lot to you as a kid, I guess, is what they're getting at here?
Yeah, just about time. We knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of when. So when I finally heard the official word he was going in, I was very happy about that, happy for the family, who I've always been close with. And like you say, as a kid, you know, my favorite was Bret Hart, but one of my favorites was definitely the Bulldog. That's the only kind of big representative we had from the UK. And, you know, if things worked out the way they're supposed to, it would have been pretty cool to, you know, the first British champion and Bulldog get in at the same time. Nonetheless, when we can have that moment, it's going to be really cool because, you know, he really deserves it. Being such a legend, I am still shocked he never won the title also.
As Bret once said to us a couple of years ago, without Davey in the Hall of Fame, it's not a Hall of Fame. So he, as being your favourite growing up, he'll be absolutely delighted as well. And I'm sure he'll be there on the night and probably be the guy to be part of accepting on his behalf. So it's going to be an amazing moment. I'm absolutely delighted about it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. Hall of Fame is one of my favourite nights of the year. And I know some of the guys get frustrated because it is sometimes the night before Mania and it sometimes goes 2 extra hours. But I love hearing all the old stories. I love when we honor those that have paved the way and put us in the position we're in now. The WWE is just at a level that people like the older talent I speak with, they just could never have imagined wrestling be the level it's at today, being the global juggernaut it is today. And I know I've been doing all this media recently. I've got all these facts and figures in 800 million homes, 180 countries, 28 different languages, over 1 billion with a B social media followers, 52 weeks a year. Like, it just blows their mind just where we're at right now. And I love that we get to honor them every single year.
That's ridiculous that you had that to memory that quick. But
I saw Dolph as well. Like, Dolph on the bump yesterday. I saw him trying to get in my head. Like, see, that's the thing. Dolph's master of the mind games. He's like, oh yeah, Drew's the champion, but he doesn't know what it takes to be champion. It's not just what happens in the ring. Like, oh my goodness, I know you're trying to get in my head. You won't annoy me. You won't frustrate me. You speak to one person in Stamford, Connecticut, and you will know that no one's ever harassed them as much as Drew McIntyre. But what I could be doing to better the product, except since a gentleman called John Cena, as I believe was the words, said, I'm nonstop with this. I love this. I know he's trying to get in my head, so he's not going to get inside my head. I'm a monster outside the ring when it comes to promoting the product. But unfortunately for him, I'm a monster inside the ring, and I'm going to mess him up.
Because Drew McIntyre is not dumb, lest we forget.
Yeah. See, he prods. He's good at it. Well, my goodness.
Well, Will, I
this
think...
is so exciting, this feud.
No, yeah, for sure. I think we're going to finish on some quick fire stuff here, aren't we, Will?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot about these because I was getting too involved in the conversation.
Of course.
Right, these have to be quick fire because we're going to get in trouble otherwise for taking too much of your time. But funniest person in the locker room?
It's a funniest. R-Truth.
Yes, absolutely adore that answer. Fave theme music that isn't your own and you can't say your old theme music.
Yeah, because you should.
Your cat's back.
Running.
I've got my 3 cats, but they're locked out right now. Fave theme music. Man, let's get cool theme music right now. I guess Corbin's music's kind of cool. Well, it's not very befitting of a king. It's pretty cool.
What's the worst finisher to take that you've taken?
Worst finisher to take. Oh, I'm really bad at rapid fire because I can never think of an answer. Nothing just pops to mind. Something that just sucks. Lashley's full Nelson isn't the funnest to take. he cinches that in pretty good. I think I need to work on my shoulder. I need to work on my shoulder flexibility a bit more because that thing hurts.
What about the best Claymore you've ever hit?
Oh, the one in Brock when I beat him at Mania, of course. And there's also a couple of cool ones like, Cedric Alexander and Ricochet when they're going inside out. And see Andrade's taking a cool one over the top rope before. And I matched with Dolph in a cage last time we wrestled each other. And I gave him a couple of vicious looking Claymores. But the one on Brock, I'll give that number 1.
Drew, you know my favorite. I think when you hit Ricochet in Saudi Arabia, and it was the most fluid one ever. He did like a full flip, and then you hit the kip up straight after. It was that's the greatest.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool one actually. That's a good meme. I need to get somebody to meme that for me. Actually, you're probably gonna have talent. Can you meme that for me and send it over?
Yeah.
We'll get a GIF going. It's fine. Last 2 favorite NXT UK talent at the moment.
Oh, I can't pick one person. That's just too much pressure. Everybody. I'm very proud of all of them. Gallus, I hope, do well since I've known them for a very long time.
Do I have to ask this last one, Al? Worst thing Vince McMahon has ever said to you?
We've always asked them, and someone gets good answers. Like Dolph Ziggler's one was one about how Vince told him, "You're not in the Attitude Era now," when he tried cutting a promo off the cuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
oh, wow, that's funny. Yeah, there's a few things he said to Dolph. I know that for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's weird that he's never really said anything that bad to me. I've never been shouted at or told that was terrible, Drew. Maybe he privately said it about me. I don't know. The worst thing Vince has ever said. It was good, but it wasn't great. I don't know.
That's like one of those interview questions when you get asked, "What's your biggest?
I work too hard.
You go,
"Oh, work too hard.
I'm too dedicated to the job."
Kofi Kingston had another great one from that question when he said that the original promos he had when he was like Jamaican and stuff when he first debuted in the WWE, and he said that you can go to TV and Vince is on the headset, so you put the headset on, you can hear what Vince is saying. And as the promo plays, Vince goes, "God, that's barely passable." and Kofi's like, "This is my debut. Like, I've had it."
Yeah, I mean, I've put the headset on and listened to some of the commentary. Not necessarily the boss himself, but I've heard some things said about certain talent in the ring, and I was like, "Oh man, I hope when I'm in there, this doesn't happen."
Well, Drew, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for finally getting this together and making this happen. We really appreciate your time, sir, and we look forward to seeing what you do with what you do with Dolphin going forwards. Thank you so much, mate.
No, thank you, lads, for having me. I'm excited to be on, and I'm sure I'll be back. Just everybody, make sure you check out the horror show at Extreme Rules when a man loses an eye from his head. Same stuff.
Thank you so much, Drew, man.
Cheers, lads.